Good afternoon, friends. My name is Christine, and I'm here with my husband Steve, and we're here to paint for you and to tell you a little bit about a very special animal today. And this is going out especially to our friends in the nursing home or assisted living facilities that right now during this time, during the coronavirus pandemic that's going on, we want to reach out to you especially. And so Steve and I go into facilities a couple of times a month and have been doing this for a few years, and this situation has caused us to look for different ways to reach you. So that's what we're here to do, and we're out here in our backyard right now doing this painting for you, and we chose to do it outside just so that maybe you can embrace a little bit of the outside. And the main purpose that we bring this to you and that we've done it for the last few years is to let you know that you are very, very loved by the Lord Jesus Christ. And so as we usually do when we start these, I'm going to start with a quick prayer. Lord God, I just thank you so much for allowing me to sit here with my friends and to come into their homes, Lord, and bring the love of Jesus Christ. I pray that you are honored and glorified in our painting today, Lord. I pray you'd help me convey it well, and I give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen. So I'm so glad to join you today. We're going to be talking about the amazing, amazing eagle. And we chose this animal today because it's well, number one, it's our national bird. And we have a national crisis going on right now, so a lot of us are thinking about our country and our fellow neighbors and things, and so we thought it would be an appropriate animal. And also the eagle is free. It's known for soaring through the heights, and maybe we just need to feel a little more freedom today as we're in the circumstances that we're facing right now. So in my backyard you can hear one of my friends, one of my birds up in my crepe myrtle tree, which is right in front of me, and so I just want to turn your attention now over to the painting that Steve has already begun. Steve paints in acrylics for you all, and he's painting in acrylics today, which is a water-based paint. And as he usually starts, he's starting off with the background of our painting today. Drawing, I see a beautiful sky is coming in to our view right now, beautiful blues and whites, and he's using one of his favorite brushes, the fan brush, which is it's one of those brushes that's like a fan, or it just fans out like your hand, like your fingers would do. And it enables him to make wide sweeping strokes with the brush, and so he's bringing in our background today, and it's starting to be very beautiful already. Just know that during this time we are praying for you all. We are thinking of you and praying that all is going well for you and that you would feel the Lord's presence during this time. So I'm looking now at the painting, and I can just see Steve making some beautiful brush strokes there to bring in the mountains in this painting. And for our eagle, they love to soar on the heights, and so he is building a beautiful landscape making a beautiful surrounding for this eagle or eagles that he's going to paint for us today. So I already see now the gorgeous skyline and those gorgeous mountains coming up for us today. So let me tell you a few amazing facts about the eagle. So most of you know it's our national bird. It was once endangered, and it's still on the protective list, so you certainly can't shoot an eagle or a bald eagle. It's against the law. But they're no longer endangered. In fact, in 2007, they actually came off of the endangered list. And but the bald eagle is our national bird, And the eagle capital of the world, can you guess where that would be? It is in Alaska, in a city called Unalaska, which has a population of about 5,000 people. And in that little town of Unalaska, there are about 600 bald eagles, which is a very, very big proportion to people in that small area. That is a major fishing port, and so there's a lot of food for those eagles, and they tend to want to be around areas where there's a lot of water and there's a lot of food. And as you could guess, the primary food for the eagle is the fish, and so that's the reason they're there. That is their primary staple food. Unalaska processes more fish than any other port in the United States. So this wasn't meant to be a plug for Unalaska, but it's just that it must be an amazing place with all those bald eagles. The bald eagles are fierce scavengers, so as you can imagine, as they're harvesting those fish out of that port, there's probably a lot of, as they're processing those fish, there's a lot of different fish parts that the eagles will just come and scoop up. It's kind of a free meal for them because they don't have to work so hard for this one. You've probably seen many programs on television in years past where you see the majestic eagle just soaring through the sky, and they will swoop down with their large talons and reach into the water and bring up a large fish. So that's a lot of work for them, and a lot of times they don't catch the fish. They'll go down and swoop in there, and maybe they'll get a hold of the fish, but the fish is going to fight for its life too, so it will wriggle out of the eagle's talons and get back into the water. So they don't always get it, but there at the port in Unalaska, they have lots of pickings there, and it's also a natural way to reduce the garbage there. So I'm sure that they are thankful for the birds as well. So eagles tend to make their nests in places where food is plentiful. They love to be in the heights and in very high places. They are very territorial. Let's see, I found in my interesting facts about Unalaska that at least a dozen people find themselves in the hospital every year due to attacks or scratches by these talons from the eagles. So it could be dangerous, especially when you have such a high ratio of eagles in a town. So let me turn your attention back to the painting, and I'm just seeing there such a beautiful landscape coming about as Steve is bringing down those mountains again, and I can almost see like a mist there beneath the mountaintop peaks, and it's just very gorgeous. I can see him. Looks like he's possibly bringing in some more mountains and maybe some of the horizon there that we're gonna see and recognize as he completes the painting. He's using a lot of blacks right now and softening that up with some white. So those mountains there are using a lot of gray colors, so mixing the blacks with the whites and maybe a little bit of blue in with the whites to really bring those mountains to life. So, but Steve has painted probably about 50 years. He started painting as a teenager in high school, and he eventually became the president of his art club, and then he ended up going on to art school in the city of Pittsburgh. He went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh and studied there for a couple of years, and for his career he ended up in the sign business. So he's done an awful lot of painting in all these years, and it's something that he truly, truly enjoys. So for us, this is a fun thing for us to do. It's a fun thing and also something that we enjoy doing together. Where are these eagles found? Well, they're found throughout North America. They're found including most of Canada and Alaska, and even as far south as northern Mexico. So why do they call the eagle a bald eagle? So I think most of you will think about the bald eagle and you'll think of the white head that the eagle has. And where did it get the name bald if it was just actually white? Well, it's white feathers, and they're thinking it came from an old English word, which is a word piebald, which meant white-headed. So that could be how our eagle got the name bald eagle. They hunt, as you can imagine, by swooping down on their prey. If they're over a body of water, the eagle has very, very powerful vision, and they can see a fish in the water from very high above the lake or the body of water where they're fishing. And they can see that fish, they can see it swimming towards, and as it comes closer and closer to the surface, the eagle is watching. And one of the things I read about the eagle is so amazing is that they will keep their eye focused on their prey the whole time until they actually come up to it and it's in their grasp. For me, as I was reading that, I thought, wow, isn't that an amazing, amazing thing? Because sometimes in our lives we get really discouraged. We can get discouraged and tend to look at other things. Maybe we look at circumstances happening in our lives or things not going exactly the way we want. And maybe we're not in the place we want to be in life right now. Maybe you're not in the place you'd like to be right now in your life. And you can get discouraged and start looking at the things around you and say, man, this isn't exactly how I thought it would be at this point in my life. And we can take our eyes off the prize. But the eagle gives us an amazing example because it keeps its eyes focused on the prize that it's going to get. It keeps its eyes firmly focused on that fish all the way down out of the sky and down into the water until it grasps that fish with its very powerful talons. And it's just amazing. And it's a good example for us because if we keep our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, we can be sure that we're well taken care of and that his eye never leaves us. So the eagle normally goes about 40 miles per hour when it's flying in the sky. I guess it all depends upon the draft of winds that is available to the eagle. And I was reading when I was preparing for you all also about how they fly in the air. It's amazing because a lot of animals will tend to, when they see a storm coming along, they'll tend to, like their birds will nestle in the trees, maybe they'll hunker down in their nest, but not the eagle. The eagle will get out there and it likes to rise on that warm air that's rising up in the air. And once they get to that very edge of the warm air rising, they can stretch their wings out and they can really soar on that warm air that's rising. And so they can go up to amazing heights. They fly higher than, I think it's all the other birds, but maybe at least most other birds. So they can go 40 miles per hour, but do you know that when they're seeing a prey from far up in the sky, they can swoop down and they can actually go up to 75 miles per hour. And so right now, as I'm looking at that painting, I am seeing this beautiful lake taking shape there. It looks like maybe it's somewhere out there in Alaska. Maybe right now it's in the springtime or even in the summer in our painting because not seeing the water frozen over, but it just looks like an amazing habitat for an eagle. And I am seeing how he is making that reflection in the water of the mountains. Can you see that? Almost looks like there's a little bit of green in there on the right side of the painting. It's just beautiful. You can see the snow-capped mountains and the reflection of it. And I want to give you a few more amazing facts about the eagles. Their legs are actually feather-free. That was interesting to me. I didn't realize that. They're highly developed hind talons. So if you look at the eagle's claws, their talons, they have a very, very powerful hind talon that actually pierces the prey, and then the front two talons will hold the prey securely while the eagle lifts it up in flight up to its nest. Most of us have not seen one, at least very close up, so let's talk about their wingspan is between close to 6 feet to 7.5 feet wide, which is amazing if you consider, how tall a person is. Maybe a person that's 6 foot tall, add another 1.5 feet to that, and that's the wingspan of one of these amazing, amazing birds. They are between 7 and 14 pounds. And actually the female in this species is about 25% larger than the male, the eagle. They say, it is thought that the eagle mates for life, but if the one ends up dying prematurely, the other one will usually find another mate. I want to tell you about their nests. Oh my word, when I found out about the eagle's nest, and wow, I'm seeing this eagle now starting to take shape on our painting here, and look at that. You can see this wingspan of this majestic eagle soaring out over that water. And like I just said, the eagle's span is close to 6 feet and up to 7.5 feet wide. This one looks like it's got its wings spread all the way out. Maybe it's swooping down on a prey that it sees in the water. It looks like it's looking down. I see the beak turned downward, and it's looking down in the water. Perhaps it's something it's getting ready to get, or maybe it's actually on the way back up. Maybe it's already captured its prey and it's on the way back up, because getting ready to soar on the heights. So we'll see as Steve brings his painting to life for us. But I see that beautiful, beautiful wingspan of the eagle. So, but the nest of the eagle is an amazing, amazing thing. So, in one of the things I was reading, they say in the 1960s they found the largest eagle's nest that known so far. And this eagle's nest was about 10 feet wide and 20 feet deep. It's hard for me to comprehend something that large. So I was amazed when I found out about the size of the eagle's nest. And in fact, their very favorite place to nest is very, very tall, and very, very tall trees, also on mountain cliffs, very, very high places. The eagles like to build their nests. But what will happen with these nests is they get so heavy over the years. This pair of eagles will come back and they will raise their young there for a few months, and then they will leave the nest because they really only use it when they are raising the young. But over the years, this nest becomes very, very heavy, and eventually it will, it's been known to just break the branches on the tree and just come collapsing down. It can even happen when the eagles are in the nest, so that's one of the things that can be a danger to the eagles. But just says something again so very interesting about their life. Let me look again at the painting, because wow, I can see that he's now brought some beautiful trees coming up on the left hand side of the painting there. Looks like some pine trees, spindly looking pine trees. It makes me think that maybe this is just again probably in the spring or summer, and perhaps the eagle was perched in that pine tree before it decided to make a swoop down into the water. And I'm seeing some back tail feathers that now Steve has brought in on this eagle, and they're white. So and I can see the eagle is just taking such a beautiful shape right now as it's poised in flight. It's like we've just Steve has captured it right there in the middle of either capturing its prey or picking it up. We've just frozen it right there in time. And let me go back to telling you more about the amazing eagle. The eagle the female eagle will lay between 1 and 3 eggs on average per year. Not all of those will survive. They can lay up to 4 eggs, but again, not all of them will survive. The little eaglets, once they make their way out of the egg, can be very territorial, and it's not uncommon for a larger eaglet to kill a smaller eaglet. And they say, in nature the strong survive, and this can be the case, especially if there are 3 eagles. Usually the smallest one will not survive, but if there's 2, they may be able to survive. But that's just kind of nature's way, isn't it, of keeping the population so that we're not overcrowded with them, and also so that we have enough to keep them alive. So they have 1 to 3 eggs per year, but 2 is typical that will make it, maybe 1 or 2. Both the male and the female actually incubate the eggs, and but the female does most of it. Okay. The incubation period of the eggs is about 35 days. About 4 days before the hatching, an amazing thing happens with the little eaglet and the egg, and they develop this horn tooth on their bill, and they will actually use this to begin scratching their way out of the egg. And so the first thing they do with this horn, like a horn tooth they call it, that comes out of the eaglet's bill, is that they will scratch, pokes a hole through the membrane on the egg, and that is where a bubble of air is waiting for the little eaglet, and it actually draws its first breath right inside the egg. Isn't that amazing how God made that incredible bubble to be there waiting for the egg, waiting for the little eaglet to take in its first breath right inside of the egg. And that air gives strength to the eaglet so it can then keep fighting its way out of the egg. It takes a few days to work its way through, and actually they'll use that horn tooth to then begin scratching its way and poking its way on the egg until eventually they crack it, and they can start to work themselves out of the egg. And so they hatch without any help from the parents. In fact, it can take 1 to 2 days for them to work their way out of that egg. And isn't that something that they will do that all on their own? And the eggshell actually stays in the nest. It's never taken out, and eventually becomes part of the flooring. So is it crushed in the bottom with the weight of the birds and things like that. If the eggs don't hatch, so sometimes they'll have an egg that just doesn't hatch. Maybe it wasn't properly fertilized, and the parent eagles will watch this egg, and they'll move it around, they'll sit on it, they'll pay attention to it. Initially they'll continue incubating the egg, but then they'll spend longer periods of time off the egg, and then eventually they'll abandon it if it doesn't hatch. So that can happen. I want to tell you a little bit about Illinois, since I've been giving plugs for Alaska all this time. Illinois has an amazing population of eagles as well, and in January their season begins for watching bald eagles. So according to enjoyillinois.com, they have more wintering American bald eagles than any other state outside Alaska, and around 3,000 bald eagles fly there to make it their temporary home, settling in the cliffs and among the trees. So they hunt for fish in the waters of Illinois and in the Mississippi River, and they say the optimal viewing for that is January and February. So if you're interested in seeing something like that, then maybe in these days of being able to pull things up online, you can be able to enjoy some of that. So I'm looking back at the painting, and look at what we found here. It looks like Steve. There's an unfortunate fish there in the talons of our mighty eagle friend, and it looks like he's in the unfortunate clutches of this eagle, and he's coming up out of the water. and the eagle has found a fine dinner for perhaps for the mate and also for the little eaglets that are in the nest waiting for him or her. With the eagles, both the male and the female hunt. Generally, when the eaglets are small, at least for the first several weeks, one or the other eagle will always be there. The male or the female eagle will always be there watching over them. Then as they get a little older, the eaglets start at about 8 weeks of age. They start flapping their wings and start raising themselves up in the nest a little bit. And then the mother and father eagle, the parent eagles, will back off a little bit, and they'll be very close by to protect them as these fledgling eagles start to stretch their wings and get a little stronger. But as I'm looking at this is a fully grown eagle, and it's got a big fish. Who knows if that's a couple pounder there in its talons that it's bringing up out of the water, and probably taking back to the nest for the little eagles. So the eagles will stay in the nest about 5 months, and then they'll leave the nest for good. And while they're becoming mature, they don't find a mate until they're about 4 or 5 years old. So between that time, they are already hunting for themselves and becoming stronger and stronger. And then about 4 to 5 years of age, they'll find their own mate, and the whole cycle of life starts all over again. The average age for an eagle is about 20 years. Some of them can be about 30 years old. We don't know exactly how long an eagle lives because they're out in the wild, and we found that in captivity animals can live a lot longer, but that's not the way they were designed. They were designed to be out in the open and free and soar on those winds, and that's what our eagle is doing right now. And I can just see that Steve is working his way to the end of our painting today and our time with you. We surely have enjoyed spending our time with you today. And as he's bringing in just the last few feathers on our eagle, I want to share with you a portion of scripture from the book of Isaiah. You're probably very familiar with it, but it talks about the mounting up on wings as an eagle. And there's many stories about the eagle that have gone on, and some of them, I think, just like many things that we talk about over the years, they can kind of become a fable, and a lot of things that are really myth. So some of the things that we hear about the eagle, there's a story that I found a lot of postings about an eagle being 70 years old, and when they're 40 years old, they reach a crisis in their life, and they have to determine whether they're going to wither up and die or they're going to become stronger and pull out all their feathers and pull out their talons and grow new. And really, based on all the facts that I've pulled up on the eagle, that's not true. They live about 30 years, and they are constantly molting their feathers, so they might be losing some, but they're constantly growing new throughout their lifetime. But as for us, we know that God will help us through any difficult situation. And when he talks in Isaiah about mounting up on wings like an eagle, so that we can run and not grow weary, that is something that God can help each of us do. It just gives us a visual example of how we can be strong in Christ even in the midst of terrible storms. So now I'm seeing the end of Steve's painting, and it's just beautiful. I see he's putting his name on there now, and wow, thank you, Steve, so much for giving us such a beautiful painting today. It's just wonderful, and I can see that eagle has finally got his dinner. So I'm going to close with reading for you Isaiah, coming from chapter 40, verses 27 through 31. And it says, "Why do you complain, Jacob? Why do you say, Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord? My cause is disregarded by my God. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the Creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And so, friends, just remember that you are very loved today, that we are thinking of you, we are praying for you. We hope that your day is full of hope and strength, and that you are blessed, and we wish you a wonderful, wonderful day. Goodbye.